Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys for joining us once again.
Hi, you guys. It's great to see you again.
So, as we know, lots going on with the virus, and we're going to update that, and we're going to start to go through some of the things that we're hearing out there. One of the things I want to share with you guys right off the bat was a video that was sent to me, and it's a guy that has a YouTube channel, and it's a pretty decent sized YouTube channel, and it's the Ja Yoe Nation, I guess you would say, the Ja Yoe Nation. And he came from China, and the video is, the link is right there. It's one of the first ones in the links. And so taking his family out of China, coming to the U.S., and it's really good. You should watch it because I think it's pretty typical. And the bottom line is things are pretty damn lax. Because when he gets to the United States, they just fly right through. Nobody checked temperature, nothing. He said it was one of the quickest times he ever disembarked. And he had a lousy flight with a lot of turbulence. And boy, the wind is still howling over here as well.
Yeah, the wind's pretty bad. I don't know. I didn't see him go through a whole lot of trauma though, but what happened with him? Was he just asked to go back to the States, or how come he flew back? Was it because of the virus completely?
Don't really know. I don't know his whole story. He's a YouTuber, and his wife appears to be Chinese, and his family, I guess he was just getting them out of there, and feeling it was safer to come to the U.S. I have not looked at his whole channel, but I just watched it. Coronavirus travel ban, flying from China to U.S. And we watched this morning having coffee, and you see them packing up, and then you see them in the flight. Everything looks kind of normal. They even show a stewardess who has her mask off. He appears to be in first class, and he's got his mask off whenever he wants it off. So it looked to be extremely lax. And then the next thing you know, he's on the streets of Chicago and just going around as normal. So it was not hard for him to get out of China. Okay, Zeke watched 3 videos. He's on a world tour on a bike. Okay, so yeah, something about a bike he was showing. He was saying that he was on a bike over Korea and Taiwan before. But anyway, the main point is the fact that they were able to get out, and it didn't seem like it was hard. And then here in the U.S., once they got here, they just came right on in and through. Good to see you, Susan. Thank you. Hope everything is well in San Francisco over there. And hello, James in Pensacola. Yeah, first class, no checks, move straight into a B&B. Yeah, it's so you wonder about how things can spread. Well, that's how they could spread, pretty easy and pretty quick. So, he's back, and maybe I'll subscribe to him, give him a thumbs up, and thank you. He's back. He made it through without much ordeal. So interesting.
Well, he did say on the comments though that some people were like really, really nasty, and he expected protesters and stuff when he stopped at the airport because people were so extremely nasty that he was coming back. I guess because of the virus.
Which is, part of what we're going to see with so much of these links. It's wow, yeah, it's there's an aggression and a violence going on, and we've talked about it before. David Dubine was talking about it, and yeah, there's a lot of people that are doing doing violent acts to those that they think are endangering others. So here we see 20,704 confirmed, 427 deaths, 727 recovered, according to what the official stats are, with 11 in the U.S., seeing 13 in Australia, Thailand second with 25, Singapore 24, Japan 22, Hong Kong 17, South Korea 16, Germany a dozen, Taiwan 11, Macau 10, Malaysia 10, and then we go into the single digits. And you got to wonder how accurate these are, because, India is showing 3, and then I'm going to show you guys something else as we get farther in about India. Now, a lot of people are buzzing about this. Creator of U.S. Bioweapons Act says coronavirus is a biological warfare weapon. And this is Dr. Francis Boyle, who drafted the Biological Weapons Act. And he gave a detailed statement admitting that the 2019 Wuhan coronavirus is an offensive biological warfare weapon, and that the WHO already knows about it. And there is a link right here to him being interviewed and by Geopolitics and Empire. So, what do you think about all this? Cindy and I, we don't agree on everything that's happening here in this case. We usually agree on almost everything. But here we're not really agreeing on what's really happening here.
It feels so deceitful when I see the little video clips coming out of Wuhan. Something feels so deceitful about it, like it might possibly be staged. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to, go to the store and act like there's nothing wrong. No, that's not what I'm saying. Something just really doesn't feel right about this. And it hasn't from the start. And I'm just wondering how are these video clips getting out here? I don't know if there's a way to do a reverse search to see if they're coming from any specific source. Because as far as I understand, China is pretty tight-lipped with their news and stuff.
Yeah, and so I love some of the comments. Like Zero Rich says, "Who made it is the real question." And right away, I think capital WHO and then space, pausing a second, made it. Because... I'm very, very suspicious of all this, as you guys know. And, yesterday I decided to take a break from this because, this topic will pull you down. And I made some videos which really set off some people because, I think our whole reality has been framed by these powers that be, our whole reality. And some people have... they can't see certain aspects of it. They can understand parts of it, but there's parts of it that they just don't want to acknowledge, So I just reeled off like 5 videos yesterday, 4 of which were more of uncovering things and trying to put things together for people. And more people are putting things together, because when we recognize the reality that we're in, then we could understand the lengths to which these powers that be can go. And but first we have to kind of recognize the situation that we're in. Sherry says the gig is up. Yes. Yeah, for sure. And Zoltan says aliens virus. Yeah, but really when you get down to it, who are the aliens? If that's the case. And there's a lot to go into still. There's a ton, and doing a lot of research on a lot of fun stuff. Coming up with some interesting timelines and dates. But getting back to what we got going here. So, this is one of the big things that everybody was talking about, Francis Boyle, and professor of international law, University of Illinois College of Law, drafted the U.S. domestic implementing legislation for the Biological Weapons Convention, known as Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act of 1989. that was approved unanimously by both houses and signed into law by George H.W. Bush. Interesting family there. So, right off the bat, he's saying this is a biological warfare weapon, and it's an offensive weapon, obviously. And I don't know why the world's allowed to create things like this. It tells something big about our whole society, in my opinion, the mindset. And here you go, and this is out of the Epoch Times, scientific puzzles surrounding the novel Wuhan coronavirus. Just basically the fact, again, this is talking about the likelihood of this thing being natural is pretty, well, it's almost zilch. It's really low. And this is out of BioRx IV, which we've been quoting a ton. And they're dissecting all this and looking into this. And again, all the research is showing this is not something natural.
Silver Flame says, I have seen a few people who were telling people not to worry like the Patriot nurse, and now they're changing their mind. Yeah, I'm watching it really close. It's not like I'm going to throw care to the wind or anything. And then I'm wondering, is it the 5G rollout? Did that, combined with the flu make these people so sick? I just have a lot of questions, and knowing like in the past and learning about propaganda and stuff, they're going to want to, like if they want to pass laws and stuff, they're going to want to put out there what they want us to see so they can go and make certain laws based on what they've shown us, or, like 9/11, there was a whole slew of laws got brought up after 9/11. And I'm wondering if they're not just using this to, lock us down, which is really concerning. That's probably my biggest concern. At the same time, I'm going to take all the precautions I need to take with this virus.
And I've heard from some out there that some of the YouTubers stopped covering this subject. And, the reason is because everything is getting locked down on it. So if you talk about this subject, it goes yellow, which means it's not going to be monetized. And they get back to you quicker than they've ever gotten back now with saying, yes, we verified it. You can't, this is not going to be fully monetized. So, then people aren't going to cover it because they're not going to get paid for their time and effort doing this. And also there is fear about, getting shut down if you talk about this too much. So that's part of it, part of what's going on with that, and part of why, people are going to be really hesitant about talking about this subject. So, obviously we're going to a different place now. I do see, for me, I guess we both agree, Cindy and I agree, that there's something bigger going on here. I think this is big. And see, my take is I think the virus can be real, can be something that either got out or was leaked or, what have you. Where, I think she's thinking that a lot of these scenes we're seeing might be staged. I'm thinking that, not necessarily staged. And we just saw one that was really gross. And, It looked like 3 kids that might not be alive, just kind of, and they're boarded in their house. You could see somebody standing in the corner. I just didn't want to include it because it was just nasty. We have enough nasty stuff, and let's go through some of this. Obviously, dozens of airlines and countries, including the U.S., Philippines, and Singapore, have imposed measures to restrict travel to and from China. We know that, but then again, we just saw that gentleman who's doing the bike ride around the world, and he got out, without too much of a hassle. Kerala declares a state disaster as coronavirus spreads across 12 districts. Now, they are only showing 3 cases in all of India. So, what's going on there? So, conflicting numbers, conflicting. Well, they're not testing is one of the things. There's not enough kits. Now, this is what's really, we're seeing a lot of this. People being picked up off the streets and forcibly put into vehicles and taken away. So you have a lot of this, and one of these guys, I don't think, realizes that he's got a big hole in the back of his areas suit here. So if this was a zombie apocalypse, all of a sudden he'd be limping and going, rawr, But we're seeing a ton of these. People being rounded up and taken by force by the Chinese police. So how would we really know that some of these individuals weren't targeted individuals? Perhaps political dissidents. Perhaps there were people speaking up also about the Chinese government and things like that. Now, there's no way of knowing who they're taking away. So a lot of people could go missing very, very easily. And, maybe it's somebody that did say something about President Xi or the system. And here you see another infected person on the ground. So, we have a lot of these videos, and I don't know, are all these staged? I have a hard time thinking they're all staged. More people being taken away here, pulled out of a building forcibly. So, were they exposed to the virus? Are they...
Doesn't look sick.
No, are they, a certain political persuasion? Are they Uyghurs? People have been... We don't know, so now you're not going to know. And there's so many people, that are apparently dying, even though we were only showing so many. There's been so many videos of body bags, and this is inside that Chinese hospital, made in 10 days, designed like a prison. And see the quote here, this is not a regular hospital. And this is only one of them. There's another one that's up and running already. There was 3 put together very quickly. And over here, this isn't the only thing going on, as you're seeing all these little chicks getting dumped alive into a pit, and then they're going to be buried because of the bird flu, which is going on. Another one where they're digging pits and just, putting ducks and geese into them and then just covering them straight over with dirt. Talk about horrible. It's just atrocious. And of course, we lost so many pigs too. Wuhan plans to convert another 8 existing venues, including gymnasiums, exhibition centers, sports centers, into hospitals by February 5th. Wow, they are moving so quick, right? And over here, we see a tractor trailer, and the back door is open. You see all these people gathered here and using cargo trucks to carry people to evade quarantine roadblocks. And there's probably big money in that. And there's people that will do anything for $1, unfortunately. And then, of course, we have all these videos that we're seeing coming out of body bags everywhere. So, if this is just one section of one hospital, what's the real numbers? That's, again, the big question going on. We see healthcare professionals strike in protest to closing China border, live press conferences, rallies. And I do feel really bad for all the healthcare workers. And this is out at Disclosed TV. The coronavirus is apparently already transmissible with very mild symptoms or no symptoms. We've talked about this, and it's been confirmed in Berlin. And then Germany has like a dozen cases. And here we see the Foreign Office warns all British people to leave China. And of course, there's people saying, just bring them on in, and then they're going to spread everywhere in the UK. So, you have people looking at it from that aspect, obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Oh, thank you, Miss Susan Donahue. Appreciate that so much. You're so sweet. You're like super awesome, and we really, truly do love you and appreciate you. But yeah, I don't know, just something feels so wrong about it. And someone says the cause of the virus is a low social credit score. That could be why some people are getting rounded up, not necessarily because they're sick. And I don't know. It's like I've heard of these ghost cities that they've had, and they look just like the real cities. And could they stage things there? Yeah, sure. It just depends on how how big a deal do they want to make it? How good do they want to make it look? What's the end goal? And is the end goal worth doing what it takes to get what they want? And if it's control and lockdown, well, sure, then they could stage anything. But still, again, I'm never gonna just go, you know, and go out and not be cautious of this virus. The other thing that really bothers me is how they use the blanket statement coronavirus, because we all know that's like the flu, or it's like the basic flu or basic cold. The coronavirus, it's on all the cans of the Lysol spray and stuff, kills coronavirus. So that's another blanket state. I can't articulate exactly why certain things are bothering me about this. I just know that something just doesn't feel right.
Cobalt Blue is talking about a Bill Gates video as well with scenes like this, thinking it's staged. It could, it's hard to say, it is the perfect opportunity to get rid of people that you don't want being around, and we're never going to know, they're just going to disappear. And so if the same thing happens, here, there might be a lot of people, that end up going missing as well. And, we might be wondering, what happened to Rex, Diamond, EEA, people that are reporting on this stuff. And, because we just don't know. It's kind of scary in that sense, but it just provides a perfect cover for the powers to lock down to a great deal. And then, there's so many different things, there's all those documents and stuff coming out that are showing that, China maybe leaked it, or China stole these, the bioweapon. And, at the same time, why would they release it on their own people? Especially if they are in competition with the U.S. and they're going to end up at some point in time overtake the U.S., or there being some sort of just inevitable confrontation with the U.S. Why would they do it on their own, I don't know. It's interesting. But one of the things that we did see was the WHO moving extremely slow. It seemed like to most, I think, it seemed like WHO moved super slow. And here you see WHO chief praises China's forceful measures, blasts the rest of the world for causing fear and stigma. And yet another stunning statement from the Director General of the World Health Organization: up is down, war is peace, caution is danger, right? And this is what we're trying to get across, in all these videos, and like the videos from yesterday too. Everything in this world is upside down. It's inside out. It's so screwed up. And here you see, having once again earlier denied that the novel coronavirus is a pandemic, saying instead that it's an epidemic with multiple foci, and with people dropping down dead in the streets in China and being forced into ambulances, WHO Director General Tedros reiterated his previous stunning praise for China's forceful measures to halt the spread of the virus. However, a member of the World Health Organization's Emergency Committee on Coronavirus has accused China of not reporting cases fast enough. They can't even test them. They don't have any test kits. That's why the numbers are just such a joke, because they're not even testing a tenth, not even 100th. There's just not enough. So the numbers are a complete joke. But here you have them praising China and blast the rest of the world, and yet also saying not to impose travel or trade restrictions. It's just, it boggles the mind at how stupid some people can be, really. And that's a very frustrating situation that we see globally, because really, a lot of the world is really, what can you say?
I don't know. The whole thing is to confuse us, create chaos, order out of chaos. So that's why, everything that they let out is for us to see and do with as we will, to create chaos and maybe panic. And some people say, and this is what I can believe, is that they're trying to do this to cover up for the food shortage that's coming, which makes sense to me because I don't know, year after year, I see so many crops getting lost to the new weather, the horrible weather that is concerning. It's like we can't continue to lose crops and then continue to have food. That math just isn't going to add up over time. So I just don't know. This thing just stinks to high heaven, And as soon as I heard that I don't even want to say his name, but that guy's name that starts with a B, last name starts with a G. As soon as he and his wife were involved, then it's like, oh my gosh, because he reminds me of like that show we watched, Underworld, one of the reptilian or Draco elders.
Yeah, vampire elder.
Yes.
And so like nuclear quantum lasers was saying, do you see what humans are doing to the earth? But you know what? I don't want to blame all humans. I think most humans are sheep and just follow. They accept the programming. They just keep to the herd. They have their heads going straight ahead and they just nod, as the culling comes as well. There are, as Sekhmet says, there are parasites who feed off others, and there are humanoid parasites as well that feed off of others. There's something bigger here. This is a system. This is the system that we've inherited going back to Sumerian times, and the system is sick. It doesn't mean that everybody has to, we don't have to just have this type of system. And that's where people are just so brainwashed that they can't see is that, it's either capitalism or communism, right? And socialism is mostly communism. It's one step to communism. Can't conceive of anything different like an Ubuntu, from Michael Tellinger. And Michael Tellinger, by the way, they hacked his Patreon. And all the money that went into his Patreon was going to somebody else because they hacked him. This is how much they don't want any alternative systems to develop. And so people have to recognize that. And, I'm going to keep doing videos that's going to cause me to lose subscribers because I don't care. Basically, I have a message and a purpose, and it's to wake up people because the system is freaking broken. And you have to recognize you might be aware of 90% of the system, but there's 10% of the system that's blinding you to getting out of it. And so then we have to point that out. And like I've told Cindy, I seriously have no problem with being, somewhere and living off the land. And I have no goals of being rich and famous. I don't care about those things at all. The system's broke, of course, until we learn how to live off light, we still have to eat some, a little bit here and there. So we're kind of still in the system until we could get enough people to recognize that we need to change the system, most definitely. And if we look at right here, 2 weeks in isolation at Forces base for Canadians returning from Wuhan, and that's the Minister of Health, Patty Hajdu. And, in Canada, they're going to put them in isolation for 2 weeks. But, I'm hearing the same thing from people in Vancouver and in those areas that people are coming back and they're not being put in isolation. Or it's, if they are showing signs, then they're put in isolation. So they're saying one thing, doing another, which is something we see all the time. And this is a doctor, you see corona whistleblower doctor being treated for the virus now, second Wuhan coronavirus death outside of mainland China confirmed. There's a lot of heroes, really. There's a lot of people that are sacrificing themselves, putting themselves in harm's way. We've seen a lot of videos of husbands and wives, kissing their loved ones goodbye and going off to ground zero where they might not survive, but they're doing it because they have to. And here you see China unveils stunning community lockdown in Nanjing. Unreported sick will be punishable by law. Even if you're renting, say you have people that are renting an apartment from you, and they're sick, and you know it, you don't report it, you could get punished. You could be jailed. It's going to a totally different place of lockdown over there. China obviously is, one of the most authoritarian regimes that we have in the world. And now with this situation, it's going to an all new level. It's really scary. And as we see here at Zero Hedge, people being forcibly taken away. There's so many videos of this. People being barricaded in, and the video that I was telling you guys about with the 3 kids, that honestly they don't look like they're alive. One of them might be, the other 2 don't look like it. It's in a situation like this where they were boarded up shut. So how long have they been boarded up in there? And was it the virus, or did they die from something else? Scary stuff.
I don't know. I think the 5G is pretty bad stuff. That tears the DNA, and then our body's always in a state of trying to recover. And then if our cells don't recover correctly, they do the wrong thing, and while they're trying to heal, they kind of screw up, and that screws up our body, and it goes on and on and on. Our energy field is so important to keep that intact. And that's why it's really important to unplug, like every night if you can. Hopefully you can not sleep with a cell phone and use an old-fashioned alarm clock maybe when you sleep at night, because those EMFs, they're no joke. They can really screw you up. I didn't take it super seriously back in 2012 with the cell phone, and I did. I ended up with a tumor right next to my brain, and that turned out to be really nasty. That almost killed me, is because I didn't take it seriously. But I take it seriously now, and I'm really, really worried about the 5G, actually. That's probably my biggest concern, more so than the Wuhan virus, or the coronavirus, or whichever virus it is, because that weakens our immune system. We need a healthy, strong energy field.
Yeah, we do. And Arcus Shiloh is talking about unleashing our dormant electrical system. And, that's what we do with QiGong, and it's part of what I'm trying to get across with the Kundalini. If you guys saw any of the videos yesterday, they get us to be so afraid of anything that could really benefit us. Mm-hmm. And it's done through religious indoctrination, political as well. It's just, it's part of keeping us on lockdown, but we are a lot more powerful than we know. And most people are not they're not operating at their full abilities. Very few people are. And what full human abilities look like are probably mind-blowing to the population. And somebody had said something like, what's so evolutionary about this channel, because they just recently came to it and all we're talking about is the coronavirus. But I've done probably 2,000 videos now or so around there, and a lot of them are about energy, about QiGong, and a lot of you guys are reaching out and saying things, asking questions and starting to practice. You guys are starting to practice some of the QiGong videos that we put up, as we have 444 watching now. That boosts the immune system tremendously. It's what Arcos Shiloh is talking about there as well. It's in us, and it needs to be activated, and you just activate it through intention and breathing, learning how to properly breathe, learning how to use your intention to direct the life force. Yeah. Which, I love doing my standing QiGong meditation next to Cindy, because then, she's always glancing at me with this little look, and I'll say, what does it look like tonight? And she was like, last night she said, oh, your feet are really glowing.
Your feet were, I could see the light shooting out from your feet and your lower legs, which usually I don't see a lot of light shooting out from there. And then sometimes, like you had a overlay yesterday I forgot to tell you about. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. So yeah, And somebody, okay, who was saying, crispy, yeah, charge your food, and we've been taught to pray over our food in many cases, and that's good, but, charge it, know you're charging it, and know you're putting the intent in there. If you've seen Emoto's experiments with water, our intent, it creates changes, especially in water. Water is like a blank canvas for us. So here we see striking coronavirus mutations found within one family cluster. Chinese scientists say more work needed to determine the impact of genetic changes on patients. This is all fascinating as well. Case points to viral evolution in human-to-human transmission. So what is this really going to do to us? We are in times that are times of great change, and we're waking up. Mm-hmm. We are waking up. People can sense, okay, I had a couple of people yesterday that I talked to, maybe once a week, asking me if is this normal? Is there something wrong? Because now they're starting to see energy. They're actually seeing energy. And I remember when it first happened to me, I was rocking my daughter, and she was just back from the hospital. She was a baby, and it was like 3 a.m., and I was giving her a bottle in the middle of the night, and so that was 30 years ago. And all of a sudden, I could see rivers of energy everywhere, and it was amazing. Next day, I made an appointment with the eye doctor to get checked out, and it was fine. And I've had many appointments after that to get the eyes checked out because I could see energy more and more all the time, feel and manipulate energy more and more all the time. And now a lot of people are really coming online. And I was looking at the comments as well with people talking about starting to recognize that there's things around them. They're seeing shadow beings. They're seeing different creatures and stuff. It's because our vibratory level is changing because of many things. The part of the galaxy that we're in, which is thought by many to be, we're in a nebula, which is a gaseous energetic portion of the galaxy that is changing us. And as our arc of Shiloh was trying to get across, we are electromagnetic beings. And, this is well known in QiGong and in energy healing circles as well. So it's all about conductivity. It's all about the life force, the Ki, Chi, Prana, Vril. They're all the same thing. They're the life force that's all around us. And with the magnetosphere in decline and more cosmic rays coming in, it's hitting our DNA. And on one of the videos yesterday, I touched on the fact that our second chromosome is fused. We're the only creature on this planet that has a fused chromosome. As obviously we are genetically altered from our original state of being. And that's obvious. The energy, the evidence is right there. And that junk, quote unquote, DNA is actually all about multidimensional experience. And that's getting turned on. So a lot of people are starting to actually see and recognize other entities. And Cindy saw one yesterday when we were doing our kicks, because we did some weightlifting, some resistance exercises, and then we practiced our kickboxing for a while, hitting targets and stuff. And what did you see?
Well, it was a tall dead person. It was really tall. Probably, I don't know, 8 feet tall, which I haven't seen a tall dead one before. And they look like, I guess whatever you would imagine a dead person would look like. And I don't think that he knew he was dead. He looked confused. I don't think he could see us, but it just came in and then it faded right out. But that's the thing I saw yesterday.
And as I'm just singling out Ark of Shiloh because, what I'm holding in my hand right now is some atomic ormus. And this is monatomic gold. And, it can be used to enhance your consciousness. It's all about like you're saying, colloidal metals. Colloidal silver is great for fighting viruses and stuff, and of course the powers that be don't want to acknowledge that. And gold has a tremendous effect on consciousness in your pineal gland, and that's what the eye of Ra is as well. And mushrooms, Ziggy 07's talking about mushrooms, and that's true as well. So these things can definitely help us and awaken us. The Great Awakening is real, and so when I see something like what we're seeing here about these mutations, what I think that it really is going on, part of this whole thing is shutting down our awakening. They're trying to shut down our awakening because, again, if you look at the Sumerian legends, we were created to be an asset. We were created to do work, be a slave race, and I'm not so sure that it was an upgrade, quote unquote, that was done to us. I think it was perhaps more of a downgrade. And somebody else said something about, your credibility is blown because you talked about people living 1,000 years. Well, the Bible says Methuselah lived 969, and all the patriarchs, lived 900-ish years, give or take. The Sumerian kings list shows people ruling for tens of thousands of years. There's Chinese myths that say at one time man was just like the gods and could fly and do all sorts of things and lived thousands of years. So you find these myths all over the globe. And that's how I feel you get to the truth. You just don't look at one system. You got to go and look at everybody's myths and compare the mythologies, compare the traditions, the oral traditions. So what I think when we see this type of stuff, we know viruses cause mutations. What I think is part of what's really going on is they want to stop us from, again, Genesis 3:22. If you guys watched the video I did yesterday, Genesis 3:22, guys, that's what this is about.
It's our belief system, they've really attacked our belief system. So we've spent all of this time learning things out of the Bible, and we take a lot of pride in it, and we have a lot of ego in it. So when someone starts to question what we've learned out of the Bible, that kind of could kick a lot of people in the ego because they think they know. And they don't like that. It's uncomfortable because then once you question one thing, then you have to go back and question your whole belief system. And that's a lot of work.
So, and the Lord God said, behold, man has become as one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand, take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. So, who is saying this? Well, we know that everything in this is taken from Sumerian and taken from Egyptian traditions, which predate. So, it's the Anunnaki is who they're talking about, become like one of us. And so, is this right here, that second chromosome being fused? And, there's another quote that says man's life will be 120 years max. So again, was it a virus? Was it direct DNA splicing going on? I don't know. It's interesting. We could think about that and look into it, and I am. And one of the other things I find very, very fascinating too. Well, I'll get into that because I'm going to start doing a video on that today. There's a lot of timelines, and I think we could actually pick out when this takeover of humanity happened as well when we look in deeper. It's fascinating. But you know what? There is this gigantic war going on, and we're right in the middle of this war. And the powers that be, they don't have our best interest in mind. They really don't. So those in charge of this planet, they don't care about life on the planet. They really don't. It's just a resource to them. That's why they don't care about, half of the swine population dying. They don't care if these cute little baby chicks get buried alive. They don't care about Fukushima poisoning the Pacific Ocean and massive die-offs everywhere. They really don't at the top level. And a lot of people are being used by these powers that be, just simply to keep the power in control of the less than probably 0.1% when you get down to it. So as we see here, they're talking about remdesivir. It's a antiviral, and talking about China immediately patented the use of it for treating the coronavirus. And me personally, I'm definitely not one that's going to look to get a flu shot every year. Hell no. I would choose not to.
I don't know how many people I have heard from that said, oh, we got the flu shot and we got sick. And I was hearing that like year after year after year after year. And it's like they keep doing it. I didn't understand that. Oh, got the flu shot and I got the flu. And then, there was one time I went to the doctor's office with my daughter, and strangely enough, I mentioned to the doctor, like, why is everybody telling me they're getting the flu shot and then they're getting sick? And she's like, oh, wow, really? I've never heard of that. And then, that just really irritated me, because I found out later that the doctors were getting kickbacks for getting out as many flu shots as possible. They were getting bonuses. And that really made me sad, because that's just not fair. And it's not that they didn't know, they didn't hear that. These doctors know they're getting kickbacks for the flu shot and for any shot that they can give anybody. It's a control thing. It's a manipulation thing. And I can't for the life of me figure out why people keep going back for more of that kind of punishment.
So I just noticed that the video that we watched about the guy that came over with his family, he just put one out 34 minutes ago. So, right during our live here. And I'll have to take a look at it. It says coronavirus outbreak and / my quarantine in USA explained. So maybe he is being quarantined now. I don't know how they found him or what have you. I'm going to have to look at it. But I just got notified that he put out a video. So interesting. And we see here Japan quarantines cruise ship with 3,700 people on board amid the coronavirus fears. This is a Diamond Princess in Yokohama after a Hong Kong man who sailed on the cruise tested positive. And, look at this massive spraying out in public. Just look at that massive spraying going on out there. You got to wonder, what is that? What is that? And right below, you see the death rate of the coronavirus in Wuhan, 4.9, Hubei, 3.1, China in general, 2.1. Of course, those numbers are complete BS. We don't know. That's the bottom line. So many bodies are just taken and you never see them again. So we see the WHO is sending 250,000 test kits to labs around the world now. And, again, there's no test kits out there for so many. And this is Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding. And again, now here you're showing the latest graph, and it's showing that the doubling time of cases has increased to about 6 days, which would be good news. However, be aware, there's no test kits. So again, how do they really know? The numbers, everything that we see is BS. And then Huawei is going to set up manufacturing bases in Europe. And, they're the telecom giant from China that specializes in 5G, guys.
Yeah, it's the 5G that really has me worried. And I know Michael and I were both so sensitive. We've noticed that even just being in front of the computers lately, I don't know if we've gotten more sensitive energetically, or if they are putting new frequencies through the computer, because when we get up and move around, we're just like feeling so much stronger and better lately. And when we sit in front of the computer, it's like our energy is going down, 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 to the point of almost feeling sick. So something's up with this EMF and all of these things that they're doing to our energy field. So yeah, the Qigong, I mean, he has playlists on the channel to do the Qigong, and it will strengthen your energy field. And I think that's going to be critical, especially if when they roll out 5G here. Even now, we're really blessed that we have this time to boost our immune systems, strengthen our energy field. So if this thing comes here and it's thick, we'll be ahead of the game. We're really actually blessed to have all of this knowledge. I'm super grateful that we have time to talk to you guys and get ready and prepare. My thought is it's probably going to fizzle out, but we don't know that for sure. So I don't want to base on any assumptions.
And, I didn't go about as if it's going to peter out because, we had enough food probably to, have like one meal a day for 6 months, something like that, 6-7 months. And so now we have enough food for probably, we only eat 2 meals a day if we do. We usually eat one and then have a snack kind of thing. But now, we could stretch it out quite a bit because we brought a lot of stuff in and, dry goods that's going to last a long time. We got a bunch more, but we also did it because Cindy's family's here. So, there's 3 daughters here. There's 4 grandkids here. There's aunts, uncles, cousins, and moms. Yeah. So not everybody is fully prepared. So that way, we could help support them, especially the little ones, through this, just in case, they're not able to provide for themselves or what happens. So, I'd strongly encourage you guys to take up the Qigong practice. These are just free videos. So just go ahead and utilize them and, practice because it will boost your system tremendously. As I have shared with you guys, I ruptured 2 discs, and then about 6-7 months later, after I was, back up to work and everything, I ended up getting Lyme's disease. So I went through a double whammy, and then while I had Lyme's, I caught pneumonia, and it scarred my lower left lobe of my lung, in my left lung, and it was just like I got blasted in like a 1-year period so bad, but it was because I believe it was because I wasn't living my life's purpose. And yet, so what it did was it totally changed me around. I was somebody that just weightlifted a ton and was always in the gym and worked out. And at like 5'11" and a half, I was up to 240 pounds, squatting over 500 pounds free weight and benching over 400 pounds and eating like, this is me. I would bring like 2 tuna fish sandwiches, have a 32-ounce yogurt, and then just, have to have a snack. So go get like a couple of, Whoppers or something. I was eating everything in sight, and I wasn't eating healthy. And I was just eating everything. And then this caused me to totally change my whole lifestyle, my whole world, and start, learning about really living healthy. And I went the total opposite route. And, it's been a life changer, but it got me on my path. And so the key really for getting healthy was really learning Qigong and learning meditation. And it did more. It changed my consciousness as well. So everything really changed for me at that point. And I do think that if we are not living our highest possibility, something will happen. And we'll just find that there's going to be one thing happening to us after another. So if you're finding that things are not going right, you're not on your life's path. You're not living up to your highest purpose in life. And here you see another ship, more than 3,500 people quarantined on a Princess ship after guests test positive for coronavirus. So cruising can be a beautiful thing, but I wouldn't do it right now. That's just me. So city, this is New York, waiting on coronavirus test results for 3 patients. There's a lot of rumors going on about New York. They don't have the results in yet. And then we see over here as well, Maryland patient being tested for possible coronavirus. This is the second one in Maryland as well. And over here, just a blast from the past. And this is what it looked like in 1918 with the Spanish flu. And look at all these people all together. And when you look at the healthcare professionals too, you're not seeing everybody masked up. You're seeing a lot of people just lying in beds in close quarters, and with very little precautions going on. So some things thankfully change, and we start to learn. And we see Cornell student being tested for coronavirus. And a child fleeing coronavirus in China was hospitalized in Southern California after developing a fever as well.
Wow. Yeah. Things are sure moving really fast. Just what do you do? What do you do? All you can really do is get ready. Just get ready. Yeah, I'm still kind of torn with the information that we're getting, but it doesn't change my stance on preparation. It's just the information is what I'm really, really wondering about. And ultimately, it's all a learning experience. We're going to get to learn to grow a bunch of things. We're going to get to know each other a little bit more. So, you look on the positive. You just find the positive. When you don't know what to do, you do the next right thing. And you keep doing that. And things do get better. They will get better. This will pass. And hopefully it won't be as bad as what the numbers are showing, because they can't even give us accurate numbers. There's no test kits, and it kind of goes on and on. This is just such a strange thing. And someone in the chat said that Marfugel took all of his coronavirus vids down, and we should be careful how we speak. And I don't know why these guys are taking them down. I don't know. It's kind of curious.
Well, it's simply that they're going to a different level now as far as what they want us to talk about and what they don't want us to talk about. So, that's part of it. And, it's interesting. There's so much to talk about. There's just so much to talk about. And as somebody said something about like hocus pocus guru stuff with the QiGong. And it just shows that you don't understand what we are, and what we truly are. So that when I see a comment like that, it's just somebody that's completely in the matrix and just, they're in this matrix. Like my sister that I've talked about for so long, nurse for like 35 years. And, to her, it's all black and white. It's all just, biology and chemistry, and doesn't understand consciousness at all, and the power of consciousness, and the fact that consciousness is all there really is. And that's a very powerful concept to grasp. So over here, this is more going into bats, gene editing, and bioweapons. Recent DARPA experiments raise concern. DARPA is scary, and that is something that they don't want us talking about, DARPA. And most definitely, DARPA is one of the scariest words on the planet when you get down to it. And I'm not underestimating that as well. So, what's the real story? That's a big question. China tests Russian antiviral drug, which might treat coronavirus, as Moscow is warning of possible mass outbreak. So, this is most definitely a global thing. And Synchronos is one of our family members here. And so he had tagged me in this along with Rex and a whole bunch of other people like Christian, Ice Age Farmer. And it's about a certain type of mask that has been developed. And you can see here, mechanically infuses antiviral, antimicrobial zinc and copper oxide. So I just thought I would put it out there. I have not gone and delved deep into this. Actually, this just popped up in my notifications right when we were coming on. So I just thought I would leave it here because maybe somebody in the chat room might find this interesting, or might be like, oh yeah, I know all about that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
420. I love that number. That's my dear friend Susan. I lost her in like 2013, but she was really into medicinal stuff, and I appreciate her. So whenever I see that number, we got 420 right now, I always think of her. But yeah, medicinal plants is wonderful. Like, we've touched on like herbal remedies and stuff since we've been, looking at this new virus. Really, really important that we. Well, let's see. What happened to all the mini Norco? Oh, Sekhmet, secret weapon. I don't know. I don't know what happened to all those victims. I have no idea. I guess did they have to move, or I know there is a lot of stuff going on. They said that they were going to shut the power off, and that way there wouldn't be so many fires, and then there was a bunch of fires anyway. So, everything we're being told, we have to really kind of look at that very closely and then take care of ourselves, because these people, they have a goal in mind, and it's to control, and they're not looking after us at all. So what we really have to do is not look so much externally as what's going on. I mean, just for informational purposes so we can take care of ourselves, but really truly go within and look for the answers there.
And Wages World's in the house, and also known as Blue Kool-Aid. So we're going to do a live together in the next couple of days as well. And we could talk about any topic that he feels like talking about. It's good to have such great people around us as well. And I got to check in with David Devine, see how he's doing. Hopefully all is well over there, as well as he's trying to make his way back home. Yeah, Mark Jones is saying meditate every morning, folks, even for 5 minutes. That's the key. It's not understood, unfortunately, in the West, just how powerful it is to develop your mind, and to have a practice like meditation, QiGong, yoga. It's just absolutely life changing, and it's one that takes a little bit of patience, and you have to stick with it as well. And then the rewards are just incredible, because your whole reality changes. Your whole perception of reality absolutely changes. So guys, we're going to leave this one at that. And again, I want to encourage everybody to go and try some QiGong and some meditation. And there's other great channels out there as well that you can learn from. And we will be doing this again. We're going to try to get a few more videos out today. I have some in mind. So guys, as always, be prepared as best as you can for yourselves, your family, your loved ones. As always, God bless and namaste.
And namaste.